महाराज की जय। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे.
Hrishikesh, you can start your presentation.
Rekha ji, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Radhe Radhe Ramuji and all, I thank you guys for being here today. My name is Rishikesh and I'm in 4th grade. My topic is, why do we worship animals and trees? Worshipping animals and trees. The Lord, the life in us, pervades all living beings, be they plants or animals. In India, we are taught to regard trees and plants as sacred. Indian scriptures tell us to plant 10 trees if for any reason we have to cut one. We are advised to use parts of trees and plants only as much as is needed for food, fuel, shelter, etc. We are also urged to apologize to a plant or tree before cutting it to avoid incurring a specific sin named suna. Worshipping plants and trees. Trees and plants like tulasi, peepal or ashwatha, banyan, which have tremendous beneficial qualities, are worshipped till today. It is believed that divine beings manifest as trees and plants, and many people worship them to fulfill their desires or to please the Lord. Why do we worship the tulasi, or holy basil? Hindus regard it as an earthly manifestation of the goddess Tulasi, a consort of the god Vishnu. A person who waters and cares for the tulasi daily is believed to gain moksha, or salvation, and the divine grace of Vishnu, even if he does not worship it. Every part of the tulasi plant is revered and considered sacred. People, Ashwatha. The interesting fact that the leaves of this tree move continuously even when the air around is still and no wind is blowing is attributed to devas or gods residing on them. A verse from Bhagavad Gita says, O Ashwatha, I honor you whose leaves are always moving. Krishna also says, among the trees I am the people tree. Banyan tree. Banyan tree is the national tree of India and is considered sacred and can be seen near temples. The leaf of banyan tree is said to be the resting place for God Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, there is a banyan tree which has its roots upwards and its branches down. Vedic hymns are its leaves. One who knows this tree is the knower of Vedas. Why worship animals? According to Hindu scriptures, every living being, from animals down to insects and tiny organisms, possesses souls like humans. They are also beings, bhutas, subject to laws of nature and cycles of births and deaths. We may consider them ignorant, but they have their own language and intelligence. Why do we worship the cow? Hindus respect, honor, and adore the cow. By honoring this gentle animal who gives more than she takes, we honor all creatures. Hindus also worship the snake god, elephants, tiger, lion, etc. Why do Hindus worship monkeys? Monkey is believed as the form of God Hanuman or Bajrangbali, the god of power and strength. We worship monkeys because Hanuman is a monkey and is very strong. Why do Hindus worship Hanuman with betel leaves? After the success in the war against Ravana, Sita Devi spotted Hanuman in a betel leaf garden. When Hanuman bowed to her feet, seeking her blessings, Sita Devi plucked few betel leaves and showered on Hanuman in order to bless him. So the ritual is still followed. Conclusion: Hindus regard all living creatures as sacred: mammals, fishes, birds, and more. We acknowledge this reverence for life in our special affection for the cow. In Hinduism, it is believed that God is present in everything, so it is a sin to kill a living creature. Thank you, everybody, and Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Hrishikesh. Prathamesh.
Can you see my screen, Rekha ji?
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
Okay. Radhe Radhe, Ramuji Prathamesh here. Today I'm going to present to you about Max Muller's contributions to India and Hinduism. A short introduction to Max Muller. Max Muller, a German, was born in 1823 and died in 1900. He was a philologist who studied languages to historic sources and an Orientalist who was obsessed with the ancient history of India. He was one of the first founders of the Western academic field of studies on the Indian culture and tradition. Works on Sanskrit. In 1844, he translated the Upanishads when he was studying in Berlin and researched the Sanskrit language. His first published book was a German translation of the historic Indian tales, Hitopadesha. In Paris, Miller further researched the Sanskrit language and studied the Sanskrit manuscripts in England to publish the complete Rigveda in Sanskrit. Scholars who thought that language development was cultural development tried to compare related European and Asian languages to find the earliest form of root language. They all thought that Sanskrit was the oldest. Works on Vedas and Upanishads. Max Muller was very interested in the most ancient Vedic scripture, the Rig Veda. He was greatly impressed with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and wrote many books on him. Since there was little interest in the Vedas in the West, Muller decided to make his biggest contribution to Hinduism by writing a critical edition of the Rig Veda, using documents in the library of British East India Company. He worked on this edition for 24 years. Beliefs in Rigveda and Hinduism. Miller believed that gods of the Rigveda were active forces in the nature, personified as imagined supernatural beings. He believed that the word Deva was the root word for God that evolved into other words such as Deus, Theos, Zeus, that were important gods in Greek mythology. Lectures. In his What Can India Teach Us lecture at University of Cambridge, he discussed ancient Sanskrit literature such as Vedas and Upanishads. He also conjectured that the introduction of Islam in India in the 11th century had a deep effect on the beliefs and behavior of Hindus, in another lecture titled Truthful Character of the Hindus. Honors. After his death, a memorial fund was opened at Oxford for the promotion of learning and research in all matters relating to the history and archaeology, the languages, literatures, and religions of ancient India. The Goethe Institutes in India are named Max Muller Bhavan in his honor. Miller's biography by Neeraj C. Chowdhury was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for English. A few famous quotes by Max Muller. If I were to look over the whole world to find out the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power, and beauty that nature can bestow, in some parts a very paradise on earth, I should point to India. If I were asked under what sky the human mind has most full developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life, and has found solutions of some of them, which well deserve the attention even of those who have studied Plato and Kant, I should point to India. And if I were to ask myself from what literature we here in Europe, we who have been nurtured almost exclusively on the thoughts of Greeks and Romans, and of one Semitic race, the Jewish, may draw that corrective which is most wanted in order to make our inner life more perfect, more comprehensive, more universal, in fact more truly human, a life not for this life only, but a transfigured and eternal life. Again, I should point to India. Another famous quote by Max Muller is, I spend my happiest hours in reading Vedantic books. They are to me like the light of the morning, like the pure air of the mountains. So simple, so true, if once understood. What I learned and understood. When Westerners have researched and admired our culture and tradition to such an extent, we as Indians not only should be proud but should also think in what best way we can contribute to make the whole world know about the greatness of our motherland. Another important point that I learned from Max Miller is that we also have to accept and learn about other religions as well. Max Miller accepted and studied the Hindu religion, but he stayed as a Christian. We should also do the same to make sure that we are not ignorant towards other religions and cultures. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you, Ramuji, for listening to me. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Prathamesh, please don't log off. You can be here.
Okay, Kaji.
Radhe Radhe. Harita.
Radhe Radhe, my name is Harita. I'm 9 years old. I'm in 4th grade in Frisco, Texas. My topic is what I'll be when I grow up and how it will contribute to society. Introduction. All people have different jobs. Each job contributes to society in a unique way. Doctors nurse people back to health, police catch criminals, firefighters rescue, etc. The question is, how will we contribute to society? What my job will be. I cannot choose your job. That decision is in your hands. However, I can choose mine, and I'll be a chemist, a theoretical chemist. They study, model, and make theories about chemical reactions and molecular structures. Some people don't know what a chemist is or does. That makes it hard for them to know what a theoretical chemist does. Here are some quick facts about them. Theoretical chemistry includes the crucial facts about kinetic energy, potential energy, the virial theorem, and more. Famous theoretical chemists include Professor Sridhar Ramachandra Gadre, Professor Robert Parr, and Professor Weitao Yang. Theoretical chemists contribute to society with their theories because they help society understand what will happen when you put chemical A with chemical B. For example, theoretical chemists study what will happen when you have medicine A with medicine B. How I will contribute to society as a theoretical chemist. Let's say you want to be a doctor when you were in kindergarten, but once you went to college you didn't know what type of doctor you want to be. After doing research, I wanted to try every single thing in theoretical chemistry, but I found out what I wanted to do in molecular modeling. I will study and model the molecular structure of organic chemicals. It will contribute to society by enabling allopathic and Ayurvedic doctors to find alternative medicines for patients who are allergic to the original medicines. Conclusion. For now, I know I want to be a chemist. I am known to change my idea for a job quickly, but the good news is every job contributes to our society. You don't need to choose your job just yet. There's plenty of time until the decision arises. Glossary. Allopathic. Western medicine, biological approach to curing and healing. Ayurvedic, plant-based medicine, originates in India. Biological, related to living things. Molecular modeling, modeling molecules. Society, group of people. Theories or theory, a group of ideas intended to explain something. Theoretical chemist, scientists who study, model, and make theories about chemical reactions and molecular structures. Thank you. I would like to thank Ramuji for listening to my presentation. I would also like to thank my parents for helping me improve my presentation. We're excited. Wikipedia.org/wiki theoretical chemistry, Wikipedia/category theoretical chemist, and the New Medicine Network.
Radhe Radhe Harita. Thank you. Madhura.
Okay, Radhe Radhe, can you hear me?
Radhe Radhe, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see my screen, Nikhil? Can you see my screen?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, Madhu.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Ramuji. I am Madhura Sriram and I am in 3rd grade and I live in Houston. I will be presenting how Bhagavatam helps me in my daily life. Today, we will look at a few cool things Bhagavatam shows us. If we don't have any agenda, we will enjoy better. And what we think of, we become that. When we chant Nama, we get the Lord's protection immediately. And we should know how to understand good and bad. So Bhagavatam teaches us a lot of things for our daily life. We don't have any agenda, we enjoy. Dharma Prochita Kaitavaha says Bhagavatam, meaning Bhagavata Dharma has no agenda and hence gives instant joy. When we are focused on results, we get too stressed. But when we don't have any agenda, we are not focused on the results and we don't get any stress. Now let me give an example from my life. In music class, sometimes my music teacher tells me to participate in a contest, like Sangeet Samrat or Carnatic Idol. But I get too stressed on the day of the contest because I get too worried about the results. But in something like Bhajane during Utsav, I don't get stressed, I just like it. So we can see how Bhagavatam teaches us how to get instant joy.
Louder, don't reduce volume. Go.
What we think of, we become that. Several people reach Krishna by just thinking about him all the time. For example, Uddhava thought about Krishna as a friend, Gopis thought about Krishna with love, and Kamsa thought about Krishna with fear, but all of them reached Krishna. Now let me give you an example from my life. When I was little, I used to read a lot of Calvin and Hobbes books. Calvin often had a really bad habit of criticizing things that Hobbes said. Just like that, I also used to do the same things to my parents. Then I realized it was funny in the book, but it wasn't at home because my parents got annoyed. So we can see how Bhagavatam teaches us to do the right kind of thing. What we chant, we get the Lord's protection. In Bhagavatam, during Prahlada Charitra, Hiranyakashipu kept on harming Prahlada, like for example, putting him in a cyclone, freezing him in the snow, or throwing him down a cliff. Prahlada didn't worry about anything his father did to him. He just continued chanting Nama as he did all the time. Every single time, Narayana rushed down to come to his rescue. Now let me tell you an example from my life. When I was little, some of my family and friends and I were boating on a lake. All was well until suddenly a huge wave almost drowned the boat. At that time we chanted Nama really loudly, and within a few seconds a young man appeared and saved us. Nama protected us from drowning. I'm still suspicious that man was Krishna because he disappeared when we turned back to thank him. So we can see how Bhagavatam says that Nama protected us from danger. We should know how to understand good and bad. Before Gajendra became Gajendra, he was a king called Indradimna. One of his greatest sins was disrespecting his own guru and showing off during his puja. His mind probably told him to be proud and disrespect his guru, but his conscience told him to be humble and respect his guru. He disregarded the conscience and just followed what the mind says. That led him to being cursed to become an elephant because elephants are really proud. When we are about to do something bad, we have two personal advisors, our mind and our conscience. Our mind will probably say, do it, but our conscience will obviously say, don't do it. If we obey our conscience, we are doing the right thing. So we can see how Bhagavatam also teaches us good versus bad and helps us in our daily life. I would like to thank Ramuji despite all his busy schedule for watching my presentation, and I would like to thank Rekha ji for giving me this opportunity. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe.
Arvind Meyyappan. Radhe Radhe Madhu, Arvind Meyyappan.
Radhe Radhe, Rekha ji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Ramaji, for joining us today. My name is Arvind Arunachalam, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm in 10th grade. So my topic is the concepts of heaven and underworld in religions. And I chose my topic because I've always been very interested in seeing how other religions view topics differently than Hinduism. So what religions? So I know that there have been other religions covered, but the religions I chose to cover were some very popular ones, and they are Zoroastrianism, which is 0.4% of religion in the world, Judaism, which is 0.2% of religion in the world, Hinduism, which is 13.3% of religion in the world, and Buddhism, which is almost 6% in the world. So the first one I'm going to speak about is Zoroastrianism. So in Zoroastrianism, their concept of heaven is that they believe that those who preach the praise of God and who worship Him attain what they call paradise, which is their version of heaven. Basically, after dying, their body will go on a 4-day trip around the world, and once they're done, and that trip is usually meant for them to relive their memories, their life, and that way they can think about their sins and all of the great things they have done, and then they reach the Chinvat bridge, and that's basically the judgment bridge. And those that have done good deeds, they will go to paradise, and they're led by a beautiful maiden to heaven. And according to their scriptures, the beauty of the maiden depends on the greatness of the person's deeds, and so they also end up going to different portions of heaven based on how great their deeds were to their God. And then if they're underworld, those who have done wrong, they too will go on that 4-day journey, and they will relive their sins, and they will reach Chinnavat bridge. But after Chinnavat bridge, they will go to the abode of Ahirman, and Ahirman is basically the devil of religion, and there they suffer eternal torment in serving Ahirman, and they'll help Ahirman catch other souls, and they have no chance for redemption. So in the next religion I'm going to talk about is Judaism. Judaism was the religion with 0.2% of religion in the world. So in their concept of heaven, it's very similar to that of Christianity, and it's basically that those that help holy people or people that spread the message of the religion, and those that are devotional towards the Lord, they go to heaven. And there they have two options. They can either be chose to get reborn over and over again to help others, or they can await the arrival of what they call the Messiah, which is a person that will end all the evil in the world. And I found this very interesting because this is what we also think of as Kali, the avatar of Vishnu that is yet to come, because he too one day will come and end the Kali Yuga. So I drew that connection between Judaism and Hinduism. And then if you look at the underworld, basically in Judaism, it's not so much as people who commit bad deeds that go down
to the underworld, but it's more the people that hurt those of God, the God's preachers, saints, or devotees, because they're sent down to Sheol, and that's an underground abyss. And there they are tortured in a manner where, like for example, say that I rob, somebody, then back there in Sheol, I will get robbed again to teach me a lesson, and that's how those in Sheol are punished. And then, of course, the next one is Hinduism. And according to the Puranas, there are 14 worlds. There are 7 upper worlds and several lower worlds to go in after death. There's Bhuh, Bhava, Swa, Maha, Jana, Tapa, and Satyam. And then the 7 netherworlds are Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, and Patala. And the region known as Bhu is the earth where we dwell, where Swa is the celestial world where people repair after death, and they enjoy the rewards of their righteous actions when they were on earth. And Bhuva is the region between the two. And Jana, Tapa, and Satyam constitute Brahmaloka, which is what we've heard as the highest heaven where all the Devas and Bhagavan himself reside. And that's where the most fortunate souls get to enjoy a spiritual communication with God. And at the end of the cycle, they attain liberation. Although some of them, like some of the avatars of Vishnu, have chosen to return to earth again. And the world of Maha is located between Brahmaloka, Buha, Soha, and Patala, and it's the lowest of the 7 worlds, and it's the realm where wicked souls, they come together after death, and they have to reap the results of their unrighteous actions on earth. But there's also a different branch of Hinduism that also believes that the greatest suffering comes from being reborn on earth over and over again, because that's where we have the most pain, because we are surrounded in a sea of Maya. And they believe that that until we find inner peace, we will be reborn over and over again. And once we do find that inner peace, we will be taken to the feet of Bhagavan in Brahmaloka. And then Buddhism, it is a temporary place for good souls after a person has lost their body. According to this religion, a person's last thoughts reflect the morality of a person. So hypothetically, if a person has lived a just life, and then they follow the rules of Buddhism, then they will think holy thoughts in their last minute. And heaven is a place for great souls to converse in religion and for them to reunite with their loved ones for a short while before they go down to earth. And this is a very interesting concept because Buddhism is one of the few religions where not only do they believe that everything in earth is temporary, they believe that everything outside of earth, like heaven and the underworld, is also temporary. Because even once you enter heaven in Buddhism, you will always leave and come back down to earth because they believe you can never stop helping people. So they always go back down to earth even if they have attained heaven. And this same concept applies to the underworld because they believe that it's not fair for someone to have eternal fate, like not to have a second chance. So for people that have committed sins, they're temporarily punished and they're given a chance to go back up to the world and go to heaven. And if they don't use that opportunity, they're sent back, punished again, and they're sent back up again. So the life lesson that I learned from all of this was that the only way to true happiness is through devotion to Bhagavan. And I drew this conclusion because if you look at the concept of heaven and underworld, the admission to all of them, at least on the religions I discussed today, it's all based on your devotion to Bhagavan. And Bhagavan does not care whether you make money or whether you're famous, and he only asks for our love. And it really makes sense if we think about it that our path to happiness depends on Bhagavan because he's the only being that is not temporary in this world. And after all, riches come and go, but Bhagavan will always be there. So it's good that our path to happiness is over the one thing that is truly constant in our world. So Radhe Radhe, thank you for listening, and thanks to Sri Ramaji for being here, and thank you to all. Thank you to Rekha ji and all the EGK teachers for teaching as well. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Arvind. Thank you. Kishori.
Radhe Radhe Rekha aunty, can you hear me?
Yes, Kishori.
Auntie, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Radhe Radhe, my name is Kishori Prakash. I'm in 7th grade and I live in Frisco, Texas. My presentation will be on the Saraswati River. I chose this topic because I've heard a lot about this river and I was curious to know more about it. I felt it was really interesting because there was such a thing as a subterranean river. So these are just some important facts. But first, here's a map, and in here you can see the Saraswati River is in green. So the width of the Saraswati River is about 5 to 7 miles wide. And civilization, it nourished more than 2,000 civilizations along this bank. So that's like a lot.
Radhe Radhe Kishori, you have to move the slide.
One second on. Huh? Can you see it?
Yes, Kishori.
Okay. So the width was about 5 to 7 miles wide, and it nourished more than 2,000 civilizations along its banks. So that's like a lot. And how did it flow? It was the largest and the grandest flowing river that flowed from the Himalaya mountains and emptied out in the place where Dwarka was, in the Dwarka Delta. Auntie, can you see my next slide? Oh, why did it disappear? So the main reason was tectonic plate movements. It's in the Himalayan Ring of Fire, right next to the major tectonic plate boundary. Even recently, we had a major earthquake in Nepal because it was right next to the fault line. Saraswati's main water supplies were lost. The Satluj moved west and joined the Indus River. The Yamuna River moved east and joined Ganga. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that Balrama used his plow to move Yamuna. The Badrinath hill collapsed and blocked the glacier's path, which was another major water source.
Who's the down arrow?
Textual proof.
Where's the proof?
In the Vedas, in the Rig Veda, it says that phrase, which means best mother, best river, best goddess. And in the Mahabharatam, it said that the Saraswati disappeared underground near present-day town of Sirsa in Haryana. Kalpa Mochan and Ran Mochan are two wells fed by the Saraswati. It is believed that the Pandavas had taken baths in these wells. And it is also said that Balarama went on a pilgrimage along this river. In the Skanda Purana, it is said that the Saraswati River originated from the water pot of Brahma and flows from the Plasa on to the Himalayas. It then turns west at Kedara and also flows underground. This text takes Saraswati as a form of Brahma's concert Brahmi. And there's another one which is not one of our scriptures, but it was actually like a book written by one of the early Islamic invaders. So, and it says, and they documented India, and it actually mentions a river Sarsat in their chronicles, which is actually our river Saraswati. So here's the satellite image, and in red you can see the Saraswati River basin. And in the image towards the right, you can see the Saraswati River in green. So if you compare it, you can easily see the Saraswati River in this recent satellite picture, even though we can't see it above ground. So what now? The Indian government launched a Work on Saraswati Revival project. So as many as 80 people who were digging the course of Saraswati in the Mughal village of Yamuna Nagar district suddenly noticed that the soil they were shoveling out from the pit was moist. The dampness increased as they dug deeper, and water started gushing out when they reached a depth of 8 feet. This place where the water was gushing was exactly a point the river is shown on the satellite image. They believe that the river once flowed through that area, including many other areas going in a line from this point. This project's goal is to try to revive Saraswati. The government is setting up many archaeological digs along this path shown by the satellite image. This project was launched on April 21st this year. And that's my presentation. Radhe Radhe, and I would like to thank Ramuji for watching and Rekha ji and all my other teachers for giving me this opportunity.
Radhe Radhe Kishori. Chinmay.
Rekha ji.
Radhe Radhe Ramuji.
Just give me a 2-minute break.
Okay.
And Chinmay, Chinmay, can you just hang on for a couple of minutes? I'll be back in 2 minutes. I want to listen completely.
Okay, Ramuji.
Right.
Radhe Radhe, can you hear me?
Radhe Radhe Chinmay, yes. Please wait for Ramuji. He told he'll be back in a minute.
Radhe Radhe, can we start?
Radhe Radhe Ramuji. Radhe Radhe Chinmay.
Okay, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe everyone, my name is Chinmay Senapati. I live in Plano, Texas, and I'm in 9th grade. So today I'm going to be presenting about, sorry, I'm just gonna. Okay, So today I'm going to be presenting about the mathematical proof shown in the Hanuman Chalisa. So about the Hanuman Chalisa, it was written by Tulsidas, who lived in the 17th century. So as the story goes, he was imprisoned by Akbar when he was invited to Akbar's court to say a few things and show his magical powers, because he was spoken greatly by the two poets Khan-e-Khana Rahim e Todarma. When Tulsidas refused, he was imprisoned by Akbar, and while he was in the jail, he started writing the Hanuman Chalisa. It's said that every day more and more monkeys came and started surrounding the fort and hiding in the trees. And on the 40th day, the monkeys attacked the fort and the guards surrounding it. Someone advised Akbar to let Tulsidas go because he was a great devotee of Hanuman. And as soon as Tulsidas was let go and he walked out of the fort, the monkeys left the fort and everything returned back to normal. So the story goes that in the childhood activities of Hanuman, one of the most prominent is the story of Hanuman reaching to eat the sun, thinking it to be a ripe fruit. Because, I mean, when you wake up in the morning, what's on your mind other than eating? Jumping to the sun would obviously not be possible for any regular human, but being the son of Vayu, how hard could it be? But did Hanuman actually go to the sun? Now, this started as a Facebook post. Well, not started, but it was contemplated by many people, and it is thought to be the basis of how they actually found the distance to the sun. But it resurfaced in modern times as a Facebook post, and it caused a lot of controversy on social media and all, as most things do. So in the Hanuman Chalisa, Tulsidas says, Yukasasra yojana parabhanu lilyo tahi madhura falajanu. So if we take the numerical values of the various words given in this, we see that Yuga is 12,000, Sahasra is 1,000, and Yojana is 8 miles. So if we multiply all three of these, we get 96 million, meaning it is estimated that the distance between the Sun and Earth is about 96 million miles, or 153,600 kilometers. NASA places the average distance at about 149,600,000 kilometers, and there's the point where we are the farthest away from the sun, which is in the summertime for summertime-ish for the northern hemisphere. We're about 152 million kilometers away from the sun. While it's not entirely accurate, it is an amazing estimate considering the technology that they had. So I chose this topic because there's a lot of stories in Hinduism, and they usually hold a lot of great meaning that people can't see. So it's nice to see the correlation between science today and our religion long time ago. So Radhe Radhe, that's my presentation. Thank you everyone for listening, and Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Chinmay, Jai Surya.
Are you able to see our screen?
No, Jai Surya.
Are you able to see now?
Yes.
Radhe Radhe. Good morning, Shri Ramoji. Thank you for being here for our presentation. This is Jai Surya Satish Babu studying in 4th grade, living in Quincy, Massachusetts. Today's presentation, I'm going to talk about a satellite that went to Mars and also called as Mangalyaan.
Mars is one of the 12 planets among the solar system and the fourth planet from the Sun, named after the Roman god of war and often described as the Red Planet due to its reddish appearance. Mars is a terrestrial planet with a thin atmosphere composed primarily of carbon dioxide. Only 18 missions to Mars have been successful. As of September 2014, there have been 40 missions to Mars, including orbiters, landers, and rovers, but not counting flybys. The most recent arrivals include the Mars Curiosity mission in 2012, the Maven mission, which arrived on September 22, 2014, followed by the Indian Space Research Organisation (MOM) Mongolian orbiter, which arrived on September 24, 2014. The next mission to arrive will be the European Space Agency ExoMars mission, comprising an orbiter, lander, and rover, followed by NASA's InSight robotic lander mission, slated for launch in March 2016, and a planned arrival in September 2016. The two most recent missions to arrive at Mars, September 2014, are the Indian Space Research Organisation's Mars Orbiter mission, nicknamed MOM, and the Maven mission. MOM is a proof-of-concept mission returning images of the planet and data about the atmosphere. India's 1,350 kilograms 2,976 lb robotic satellite, which is undertaking the 10-month-long over 200 million kilometer journey to Mars, is equipped with 5 instruments. They include a sensor to track methane or marsh gas, a possible sign of life on Mars, a color camera for taking pictures, and a thermal imaging spectrometer to map the surface and mineral wealth of the planet. The mission will also analyze the thin Martian atmosphere. Mars Orbiter Mission, MOM, also called Mongolian Mars craft from Sanskrit. Mangala means Mars and Yana means craft vehicle. Mongolian also arrived at the Red Planet on Tuesday night, September 23, 2014. The primary object of the Mars Orbiter Mission MOM is to showcase India's rocket launch systems, spacecraft building, and operation capabilities. The secondary object is to explore Mars surface features, morphology, mineralogy, and Martian atmosphere using scientific instruments. MOM facts. Mission to Red Planet. Manufacturer ISAC. Launch mass 1,350 kilograms 2,980 lb. Payload mass 15 kilograms 33 lb. Power solar cells. Mission type Mars Orbiter. Operator ISRO. Mission duration 300 days. Launch by PSLV XL. All the best, Mongolian. Thank you all, and Shri Ramoji.
Radhe Radhe, Surya. Next, Akhilesh.
Radhe Radhe.
Akhilesh. Akhilesh, are you ready? Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe, Akhilesh, are you ready? Okay, Sahitya, carry on karna.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Radhe Radhe. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my presentation. My name is Sahitya Senapati. I'm in 8th grade and I'm from Dallas. I'm going to present an overview of one of the world's greatest mathematicians, Srinivasa Ramanujan. In my presentation, I will talk about Ramanujan's early life, his life in Europe, his accomplishments, one of Ramanujan's proofs, and an interesting story about him. Early life. Ramanujan was born on December 22nd, 1887 in a district of Tamil Nadu. By the age of 11, he had exhausted all the mathematical knowledge of the 2 college students that were lodging at his house. He then decided to read a book on trigonometry. He had mastered it by the age of 13 and then began formulating his own theorems by the age of 14. As he read more and more mathematical texts, he became more adept at solving mathematical problems. Life in Europe. In 1913, Ramanujan sent his works to some of the professors at the University of Cambridge, including one man named G. H. Hardy. Hardy and Ramanujan would collaborate on many mathematical ideas. The professors at Cambridge were very impressed by his work and even invited him to the university. But at first, Ramanujan was reluctant. After his parents gave their approval to his trip, he agreed to go. Ramanujan and Hardy discovered many important theorems, but due to the lack of vegetarian food and the stress caused by his extensive work input, his health began to diminish. Ramanujan was later diagnosed with tuberculosis, vitamin deficiency, and a parasitic liver infection. The combination of these many ailments caused him to pass away in 1920 at the age of 32. Accomplishments. Here are some of the many accomplishments that Ramanujan did in his life. The Landau-Ramanujan constant, Mach theta functions, Ramanujan conjecture, Ramanujan prime, Ramanujan-Soldner constant, Ramanujan theta function, Ramanujan sum, Roger-Ramanujan identities, Ramanujan's master theorem. He also became a Fellow of the Royal Society and a Fellow of Trinity College. The Landau-Ramanujan constant is an equation in number theory that states the number of positive integers less than x that are the sum of the 2 squares is proportional to x divided by the square root of the natural log of x. This proportion between the two is 0.76422,365, etc. Both Edmund Landau, a German mathematician, and Ramanujan discovered this equation independently. An interesting story about Ramanujan. Once, in a taxi from London to visit Ramanujan in the hospital, G. H. Hardy observed the taxi number, 1729. He pondered about it, and when he entered the room in which Ramanujan lay ill in bed, he exclaimed his disappointment with it. It was, he declared, rather a dull number, adding that he hoped that wasn't a bad omen. No, Hardy, Ramanujan said. It is a very interesting number. It is the smallest number expressible as the sum of 2 positive cubes in 2 different ways. 1729 is equal to 1 cubed plus 12 cubed and 9 cubed plus 10 cubed. The end. Thank you for listening to my presentation, Radhe Radhe, and thank you Ramoji for listening.
Radhe Radhe Sahitya. Next, Akhilesh.
Radhe Radhe, can you hear me now?
Yes, Akhilesh.
Okay. Give me just one second. The Rama Setu, constructed by Lord Rama. Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe to Ramuji. My name is Akhilesh Anand and I'm 13 years old and I live in Plano, Texas. The Rama Setu is a bridge constructed by Lord Rama connecting Dhanushkoti in Rameshwaram to Talaimanar in Sri Lanka to rescue Sita Mata. Historical evidence of the Rama Setu. There are extensive and detailed references to the Rama Setu in Sanskrit and Tamil literature. The building of Rama's bridge is described in the Yuddha Kanda of the Valmiki Ramayana. The Skanda Purana also describes the installation of 3 Shivalingas at the end, middle, and beginning of the Rama Setu. and making the same bridge submerged under waters of the ocean, and thereby creating the Sedu Tirth.
Radhe, Akhilesh, you have to move the screen.
No, it's in the same screen. Tirunyana Sambandar in his Tevaram also mentions the Rama Setu. Likewise, Tirunavukarasar in his Tevaram also describes how Rama filled the ocean with mountains in order to create the same Setu bridge. Slokas in the Ramayana about Ramasetu's construction. The building of the Rama's bridge is described in the Yuddha Kanda of the Valmiki Ramayana from the 22nd chapter in the slokas 50 to 72. Nala was the chief engineer who constructed the Ramasetu. Tulasidasa's Ramacharit Manas provides more detail about Neel and Nala getting a curse that would make anything they throw into the water float. The layers and engineering marvels of the Setubandha. Rama and his team of Vanaras seem to have surveyed the land as a possible bridge site. Wood from a variety of trees, which are mentioned here, were piled on the sea ridge to give a wood cushion effect. On top of this, small and large stones were piled on. The Rama Setu is made of a chain of limestone shoals. It is 30 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. The places mentioned in the Ramayana exactly matches to the current location of the bridge. Temple records say that the Rama's bridge was completely above sea level until it broke in a cyclone in 1480 AD. The Rama Setu was walkable till this time. The bridge was constructed within 5 days by 10 million Vanaras. Wow! The distances they covered each day are also mentioned in the slokas. The length of the Rama Setu is 100 yojanas and the width is 10 yojanas. The ratio is 1 to 10. Modern evidence. The background picture is taken by NASA of the Rama Setu. This picture proves the existence of the Rama Setu. Its unique curvature and composition of age reveals that it is man-made. Recent developments regarding the Rama Setu. There was a proposal by the government of India called the Sedu Samudram Shipping Canal Project, which was to create a shipping route in the shallow straits between India and Sri Lanka. This project was trying to destroy the holy Rama Setu bridge. Geologists and earth scientists have commented that the Rama Setu was a natural barrier that prevented the tsunami in major southern areas that could have been hit hard. The latest information that is the government has proposed another plan that will demolish the Rama Setu. Different names of the bridge were fun facts. It was named the Nala Setu by Rama on his way back from Lanka. Then it was named the Rama Setu by the people for their compassion towards the Lord Rama. Then it was named the Setubandha, meaning that which joins two lands. And then it was named after an Islamic leader who was called Adam, who had walked over the bridge. And this name was called Adam's Bridge. Here are all the sites I had used to find out my information for this presentation today. I was amazed by this project because they had such modern engineering styles and techniques even though the Rama Setu was constructed 1.7 million years ago. Thanks Ramuji and everyone else for watching, and Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Krish. Radhe Radhe Ramuji. Radhe Radhe Ramuji.
Radhe Radhe.
Ramuji, you're on mute.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Ramuji.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, the unmuting takes a lot of time. That's why it's a little delay. How many more we you have, or is it all done?
We are done. We are done. All 19 are
Very
done.
good. Oh, there were 19 of them. I couldn't even see the 2 hours passing by. It felt like 2 minutes. Lovely work by all of those children. In the third session, we had our Prathamesh and Rishikesh doing Mahamantra Kirtan. And I think Rishikesh started with a lovely topic of why do we worship animals and trees? And I think it's a good question to be answered. And he had done a lovely research to actually look at how each of these trees and each of the animals are related to something divine. And he also beautifully brought out the concept that Hinduism looks at divinity in all things, everywhere, at all times. And he has quoted Bhagavad Gita and the rest. A lovely job by Rishikesh. And well done, Rishikesh. And then was our Prathamesh who talked about Max Muller and how Max Muller had done a lovely research with an open mind about our Hinduism, and he brought out a very important point about how the word Div, which stands for light, and Devas has moved all over the world in form of theos or divinity. In fact, the Global Organization for Divinity has the word Div, and the Div has come from Sanskrit, and he brought it out very, very nicely. Good work. And he also concluded by quoting our Swamiji's favorite quote that you admire all and adopt one. And he also said that Max Muller was in that sort of bhava, where he actually, with an open mind, researched all religions, yet stuck to his own discipline of being a Christian. So good job by Prathamesh. It was very nicely researched, very good efforts by him. And then it was Harita, who she really went deep into how we can contribute to society, and one could see the passion in her to actually probe in deep to understand what a chemist would do. And she brought out the various forms and the various branches in chemistry, being a theoretical chemist and the rest. And very beautifully she did that research, and she also defined all the terms, which is very important when you present stuff, I guess. And we wish her well to be a very good theoretical chemist in future. And well done, Harita, to have done a lovely research on the topics about what does it entail to be a chemist. Well done, on all the very best. A good job done by Harita. And then we had Bhagavatam in daily life. Who was that actually?
Madhu. Mathura.
Oh yeah, it was Madhu. Yeah. Madhu talked about Bhagavatam in daily life, and she brought in the 4 lovely points. was all pretty personal, and it was very nice and eye-opening. We didn't know about the boat incident, so it was a beautiful way in which she has analyzed it and internalized it. And the 4 points are the 4 points which are very important in Bhagavatam, which is to talk about how we enjoy something when we have no agenda, and how Bhagavan Nama protects us, and also about she also talked about her own experiences in the protection of Bhagavan Nama, and also the difference between competition and enjoying the utsav. She has really internalized it well and really enjoyed this presentation too. A lovely job, Madhu, and it was a lovely, thought-provoking, and a good researched presentation by you, and all the very best. Kudos to you. It was followed by our Aravind, who talked about heaven and hell, and we also had an heaven and hell comparison in the earlier session, but Aravind beautifully took religions which are far, I wouldn't call mainstream and non-mainstream, but he took the rare religions which form the minority of world religions, if I may term that so. Zoroastrianism, and he talked about Buddhism and of course Hinduism. It was a very lovely researched article, and he talked about how Hinduism and some of the commonalities of the description of heaven and hell. And he also gave his own personal lesson very beautifully. He beautifully understood the commonalities of all religions by saying that the love of God is the final lesson he learned, and it's a lovely lesson. It's a lovely lesson and a lovely presentation done by our Arvind Mayappan. Kudos to Arvind Mayappan, a job very well done. And it was followed by our Kishori from Dallas about the Saraswati River. Again, a very well researched article with photos from NASA and how the map and the satellite images match, which was followed up by an actual contemporary example of when somebody dug for water and about 8 feet deep, water started gushing out, showing the presence of aquifer, which is pretty close to the surface, clearly showing an underground river. And she started by saying that she was a little mystified by a subterranean river. Again, a lovely, well-researched presentation by Kishori. Job well done. Kudos to her, and all the very best to Kishori too. And Chinmayi, in his own imitable style, talked about Hanuman Chalisa's calculation about the sun and the earth distance, and he also brought it out very well, how it is pretty close to the estimates of NASA, especially during the northern hemisphere summertime, which is about 152 million miles or so. And the estimate by Tulsidas Goswami was almost there, you see. And it's a very good job again by Chinmay to have done the research and to have presented it in a very precise way. And we had our Jayasuriya, who talked about Mangalayam, and it's a pride of India. And while our Chinmay was talking about Hanumanji jumping up to the sun, our satellites could jump only up to Mangalayam. And both brought out a lovely contrast of how Indian attempt to go beyond and to explore other planets. Jayasuriya talked about the Mangalayam project, gave the details and how it's just in 1 in 18 actually succeed, and we just took one leap and it reached Mangalayam. That shows the beauty and the scientific proficiency of our Indian science. He brought it out very nicely, very well researched again, and was absolutely a joy to listen. And kudos to Jayasuriya. And Sahitya gave very interesting facts about Srinivasa Ramanujan, and added a lot of flavor with an interesting episode of this magical number of 1729. He also talked about the personal side of Ramanujan, how much he suffered because of strain in UK, and his lovely accomplishments in the field of mathematics. Sahitya, well done. It was a wonderful researched article, and you presented it very nicely. Kudos to you, and many, many, many wishes to you for your future. Akhilesh brought in a Ramasetu project, and it's something very close to us back home, and he did a lovely research to talk about how much engineering marvel it was, and one could see his own personal attachment to this when he explained about how the Vanaras built something which is nothing short of an engineering marvel. And again, a lovely research done from Ramayana. He also researched in other Devaram and other religious texts. And needless to say, a thorough job. And it was some of it was pretty much interesting to me also, because I've not heard about the reference of Ramasetu in other works like Devaram. And I'm glad that he did a very wide research and presented it, giving it both the ancient and a contemporary flavor. Very well done, Akhilesh, and a very interesting topic, and you presented it very beautifully. And kudos to you. Our CB had talked about heaven and hell and the distance also through Bhagavatam, the 860,000 miles, which is there in Bhagavatam in form of yojanas. And CB took the mainstream religions. I'm glad he did that, because now with CB and Aravind, we have a complete picture of heaven and hell. And again, CB did a lovely job of complete research and analysis about heaven and hell, contrasting and comparing with Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism. And he presented it very nicely, very composedly, and great job, CB. And thanks for this lovely presentation. And he also talked about how Mahamantra can help us not get there and rather get to the feet of Krishna. Thank you, CB. And our Purush talked about Vedas from a foreigner's perspective. He brought in Max Muller, giving the major facts about how Max Muller loved Sanskrit, how he loved Vedas, some of the important quotes of Max Muller, and also the lesson that we need to go deeper into our own lovely heritage and culture. And once again, Purush has done a great research and presented it very beautifully about a foreigner's perspective of Vedas, with some very nice animations and presentations. And it was a job well presented, a matter well researched, and a presentation well presented. Thank you, Purush. Kudos, and all the very best to you. And then we had our Krishna Prasad, who talked about Hanuman Chalisa's distance from earth to sun. And I guess that's a topic many of us really love to research and talk about. And it is interesting that our ancient sages, given only their divine insight, could actually stumble upon some very intricate calculations and truths about our own solar system. Krishna Prasad very beautifully brought out that distance calculation from Hanuman Chalisa. And again, I'm glad that he took interest to actually see that and present it. He did it very nicely, very smoothly. And kudos to Krishna Prasad for a job very well done. And in all, we had about 19 people. And it was absolutely a privilege to listen to all of you. And I'm so happy that you are all a part of E-Gopa Kuteram. I think it's very important we sustain this, and the possibilities are endless. I'm very excited to talk about it to our Swamiji, our beloved Guruji, when I go back. And he's going to be pretty proud of all of you, the teachers, the coordinators, and the students together as a community. And I think this is going to be the future, especially if you want to reach Gopa Kuteram to places which are diverse and far apart. And given the need for good teachers in all these regions, if we can somehow duplicate this E-Gopa Kuteram all around the world, I think we have both the versions, which is the direct class version, which of course we need to grow, and also this E-Gopa Kutiram version where each of you are sitting in your homes, but your minds are in Gopa Kutiram. So physically you're far apart, together as a group, you are all together and learn from the best technology, which is, I think, the electronic media. I wish you all very well. And a special mention needs to be done for Rekha ji for her continued passion to do Sri Ji Seva. And I also saw Malti ji coordinating this. And I'm sure there are many more teachers apart from these two, but as a representative, I'd like to thank you all. If Rekha ji can mention all the teachers.
Nitya
So
ji.
that
Nitya ji.
okay.
Reading Nitya ji.
Reading Nitya ji, okay. And so Nitya ji, we had Malti ji and Rekha ji spearheading this in the US. I'm sure it's going to catch like wildfire all over the world. And many more of you are going to be a part of it. So like earlier days when I was a kid, we used to have what is called as a pen pal. And I know that snail mail is no longer a fashion here, but we used to write letters to people who are like-minded all over the world. And we used to be very excited when we get a reply back. And I'm sure this concept of pen pal is going to sort of spread in form of E-Gopa Kutiram all over the world. You're going to get new friends in E-Gopa Kutiram, maybe people from Middle East, people from Africa, people from Europe. And I'm so excited that you're going to learn from all your friends. I'm sure your school gives you a lovely platform to interact with varieties of people. I'm glad that by our Guruji's grace, we are going to actually do the same thing in the divine platform of E-Gopa Kutiram also. And once again, it's a Monday morning well spent for me. Very happy and very excited that all of you took so much efforts to put in a lovely presentation and sharing that which you researched. I look forward to the next year already. All the very best. And let us all conclude with the chanting of the Divine Nine thrice. Okay. Sadguru Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Satguru Maharaj ki Gopika Jeevan Smaranam Govinda Govinda. Radhe Radhe and all the very, very, very best. And if I'm not going to meet you before the new year, many happy new year, happy 2016 wishes. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Ramuji, thank you so much for coming, spending your 3 hours of morning, Sunday morning time and encouraging the children. Thank you very much, Ramuji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.